Welcome back, everyone, to the final part of our China trip, our China story. We've covered all the way from going from Tsinghua and Beijing down to Zhangjiajie, Fenghuang, Guilin, and finally we're going to reach the end where there's lots of crazy stuff that happens and eventful things unfolding. So, as you guys might remember, we started with 6 people, right? So we had myself, we had my friend Eustace from Finland, we had Leonard from the Netherlands, we had David from Argentina, we had Aisha from India, and we had Elena from Italy. So the 6 of us went traveling. Eustace had to leave first, and then after Eustace, Elena and Aisha had to go back home. So there's just 3 of us left right now in the city of Guilin. 3 of us being me, Leonard, and David. Okay, so the 3 of us were in Guilin, and we're going to finish up our trip because we really wanted to go to Hong Kong, and since we were going to Hong Kong, we wanted to stop by Macau, and since we were stopping by those 2 places and we're coming down from Guilin, we figured we might as well spend a day in Guangzhou. We got on a train from Guilin the next morning. If you guys remember, their clothes were still soaking wet. I think that we were able to figure something out where they dried it at the next place or something like that, but wasn't a big deal, and we fixed it in the end. We went to Guangzhou, and to be honest, not really anything happened there. We got there, and they have the Canton Tower, which is pretty cool, so it's just a tall tower. They have bungee jumping from the top of it that we really wanted to do, but it was too expensive, so we decided not to. But it was a really pretty city. It was kind of like, so I grew up partly in Houston. It had kind of the same temperature climate as Houston. Very humid and hot in the summer. So it wasn't exactly the most ideal, fun place to walk around or travel. They had a good subway, so it made it easy to travel around. But to be honest, in Guangzhou, didn't really do that much. So we were just there and spent the day there, mainly for the next day where we would go to Macau. Spent the night, got up early in the morning, and then we took a train to Zhuhai. So if you're going to Macau, I think you have to go there on foot, which is fine. So you go to Zhuhai, and then right at that border between Zhuhai, China, and Macau, you have just a border security. We were a little nervous about it because I think Leonard and I were fine with our visa stuff, but David had like a 1 entry deal, or maybe both of them had a 1 entry, but I got like the unlimited entry for 6 months kind of thing. Anyway, the situation was we were a little worried because we knew that going to Hong Kong counted as leaving China on your passport. So you can go in once and then out and then back in. That's the policy with their passports or with their visa. So we were worried that it would count as leaving, going to Macau, and then going somewhere else in Hong Kong, and then that would count as 2, and then they couldn't go back into China, something like that. So we were kind of worried about that, but in the end, went through border security and everything was fine. Went through, got a taxi to our hotel. I actually really liked that hotel. It was in a very understated area, nothing special about it. It was just kind of like on the side of a road, down like a little small alley. It was just like a 3-bed kind of situation, and we got there and we traveled that morning, so we're ready to get ready and explore the city. So as those of you who know Macau, there's one thing that always comes to everyone's mind when you think of the place, which is casinos, right? So there's the famous Cotai Strip that you can go to where there's lots of casinos. There's also the Grand Lisboa, which is in kind of central Macau. Just side note for you that are traveling to Macau. So the Grand Lisboa, which is the most famous one, is in Macau, like this Macau City Central. But then if you want to go to all the other casinos, they're in a different location, like a 20-minute taxi ride. Macau's really small, so you don't really have to worry about traveling. Anyway, so we arrive in our hotel and we want to get ready for the casino. We want to look fancy because we're like, oh, we're going to casinos, they're really nice. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we packed really light because we're traveling all throughout China for 12 days. But we packed one like polo dress shirt so that we could look fancier for this. So it's a wrinkled mess, of course. So we did the method of hanging up all of our clothes, and then you put it in the shower, and then you close the doors and windows of the shower room, and then you turn it on maximum heat. So then it's like a steamer, and then it steams your clothes, your wrinkles out of your clothes, which I tried to do this morning, but didn't work. I still use it today, so I still recommend that. Anyway, yeah, so we steamed our clothes with that, and then our shoes were soaking. And again, we were young and stupid, but we used the hair dryer and we put it in our shoe to dry the shoe, because our shoes were soaking wet from raining every day. So then we had dry shoes and nice clean shirts to go to the casino. So we were ready to hit Macau. It was only like noon at that time, so we wanted to explore the city first. And we had a good time, you know, going to the Grand Lisboa. The inside is beautiful. All these casinos are like magnificent. Of course, all the money from gambling goes into making them beautiful. So Grand Lisboa is great. Macau is actually one of my favorite cities. It's a really weird mix of big casinos, Portuguese culture because they were colonized by Portugal in the past, as well as everyone speaking Cantonese. So really weird vibe, but really cool and really pretty. The streets are beautiful. They got these beautiful patterns. I've never been to Europe other than Finland. And so I'd imagine it's what it would look like in Europe. So it's a really cool place to explore. Got kind of Hong Kong vibes where it's like really compact. And yeah, we just had fun. We had to try an egg tart because we knew the egg tarts are famous there. They're good. No complaints, of course. Went to a museum. That's about it. Not too crazy, and everything went pretty well in Macau. Maybe that's why it was one of my favorite places, because nothing went wrong. And then we went to the Cotai Strip at night, and that's a great place to be. You know, you don't have to gamble there. You can just go walk around. And we just explored each and every casino, walking through, just looking at the beautiful architecture, stuff like that. And yeah, we gambled $50 per person on the night. So we did gamble a little bit. I remember, so we get in there and the table buy-ins, most of them are like $10, which is like, well, not gonna make it very far with $50 if it's a $10 buy-in. So all the electronic ones are cheap, like 50-cent buy-in kind of thing. So we did those, and I almost blew all my money. We gambled like 20 bucks on that, and then I ran it all the way down to like 50 cents. I was on my last bet, and I bet it on double zeros in roulette, and then it landed on it. So then I got all my money back and more. So that was good. And then Leonard pulled me away. Thank you, Leonard, because otherwise I would have spent it all there. Yeah, so, oh yeah, and that was at the Venetian. So we were at the Venetian for gambling for that night. And it was a good time. Yeah, so we gambled at roulette, and then we went to the real roulette. David lost his money. Sorry, David, but we lent him some money, and then he won a little bit. David was struggling throughout the night. He wasn't having the luckiest of nights, but it was still fun. And then they have cool curved escalators in the Venetian, which is cool. So yeah, we gambled, walked around, went on the curved escalators, went to the shopping area, and yeah, just like had a fun time till like 3, 4 a.m. and then went home. After that, we only spent one night in Macau. You really don't need too much time in Macau, to be honest, because it's so small. It's really the size of like a small city, but very compact. Yeah, I really like it. If I could go back, I would probably spend maybe 2 or 3 days there. In Macau, that second morning, we went to this famous plaza, and that's the best seafood I've ever had there. There's this very local place that was highly recommended on, I don't know, Yelp, whatever. And the seafood there was outstanding, amazing. Macau is great seafood. I'll give you the link to the restaurant in the bottom if you ever go. What you do is you go, you just give them your name, they give you a ticket number, so like 150, and then usually it's like a 45-minute to an hour wait, so you can just walk around and explore the area. There was like some local shops or like street markets, stuff like that, so you can just explore the area and then come back in half an hour and then get seated and eat amazing seafood. So I recommend that place. So yeah, in the morning, we went to the coast of Macau, and we got on a boat, and there's about a 1.5 hour boat ride that will take you directly from Macau to Hong Kong. And then we got to Hong Kong, and we spent 2 days there. Hong Kong is where I finally wrote my third essay. So as you guys know, knocked out 2 of those 15-page essays, and I had my final third essay that I knocked out that first night or second morning in Hong Kong. So that last day in Hong Kong, I could chill out, relax, because I had finished all my 45 pages of essays. So we got there, and yeah, we stayed in the Kowloon side. So if you don't know the structure of Hong Kong, there's 3 kind of places. There's Kowloon, there's Hong Kong Island, and then I think what's called like the New Territory or whatever. That's where the airport is, and it's just like a lot of green area. Not too much to go there, see there, other than like a big Buddha statue, I think. So we spent all of our time on Kowloon and Hong Kong Island. Kowloon I preferred it out of the 2. It just depends on your style. Kowloon was very like much more local, so you get like the really authentic shops and all of that. You get good food, local food, while Hong Kong Island is like really built up, fancy, like New York City. Anyway, so first night Kowloon was great. The hostel gave us a map of Hong Kong, so we checked those things out. Except one of the most popular attractions that they put on there was the red light district, which is very sad to see in Hong Kong. That's like what they're advertising to tourists, so that was disappointing. But one thing that I can highly recommend that was so cool is if you go to it's like the Opera House that's on the Kowloon side, right on the river at 8 p.m. I think. 8 p.m. every night they'll play a song, and then the entire Hong Kong skyline that you can see from across the river will have a light show. So like all the skyscrapers will flash and do all these cool things according to the music that's being played at that opera house or at that symphony, whatever. So very cool. If you're going to Hong Kong, you have to do that. It's a really amazing sight because I haven't seen any other places where they orchestrate the whole city to do a light show every night. So that was really cool. So for Hong Kong, Kowloon side, really cool, very local. There's a night market there. It was good. And then the next day we went to Hong Kong Island, which was beautiful. In Hong Kong Island, just walking around, seeing tall buildings, pretty much just walking around and having a good time. I think we went to like a Middle Eastern restaurant. Everything's super expensive there because it's super fancy. Everyone's wearing suits kind of thing. That's the kind of vibe that you get from Hong Kong Island. So it was good. Not too eventful, but we had a great time. Another convenient thing with Hong Kong is they speak Cantonese, so I can't speak or listen to what they're saying, but if I'm handed a menu, I can read it because they use basically the same written language. So I can read it and order. So just if you know Mandarin, that's something that's convenient if you go to Hong Kong. You won't be able to speak or listen, but you'll be able to read for most of it. Overall, good time. And then finally, the next morning, we headed back to the airport to go back home to Beijing. That's the end, right? Wrong. So we take a double-decker bus to the Hong Kong airport. We get there. I think I was super tired and we got there like 3 or 4 hours early because we didn't want to miss our flight. And we were taking Air China. Now, I think I remember Leonard was saying that his friend said never take Air China. And they're right. Sorry, Air China. We got on our plane and we were on the runway about to take off. I fell asleep after 20 minutes, and then 3 hours later, I wake up and we're still there and they canceled the flight. Why did they cancel the flight? Well, there was a sandstorm in Beijing. So after it being so rainy everywhere else, it was so dry in Beijing that they had a sandstorm, so they had to cancel the flight. And the procedure for how they handled this, it was 11 p.m. But the procedure was like the Titanic. So we get off the plane. The instructions were very unclear as to what we had to do. So we had to ask a couple people, like, where do we go? And so we knew that we were going to get a hotel for the night. And so they guided us, and it was just chaos. And we were just like, we're just going to chill and just take our time, because they're going crazy over there, acting like it's the end of the world. And we're just going to like stay out of it and just wait for things to calm down and go. And what had happened is they sent buses over to have us stay at a hotel, and they separated us from men and women and children. So legit like the Titanic, like it was like we were gonna die or something. So we waited in the men line, and the bus pulled up. And what was even funnier is the bus pulled up on the wrong side, so all the men started to get on first, which is opposite in this Titanic situation. And then the people were freaking out, and it was just absolute insanity. Yeah, so that's what I remember from the Hong Kong airport. Eventually, like I said, we were just chilling in the back. We're like, we don't need to be concerned about this. We're just gonna hang out, talk, have a good time, get to the airport. Get to the hotel around 12:30, 1 a.m. And they scheduled us for a flight the next day at like 10 a.m. So yeah, just went to the hotel, spent the night. We got 2 rooms for 3 people. Spent the night. David ravaged my room. So I stayed in my own room, and then David and Leonard stayed in the other room. And the next morning I woke up, and then David came and took all the like the free stuff, and he brought that back to Beijing. I'm glad I could help you and support you, David. Yeah, so we went back to the airport, got our flight back, and that was the end of the trip. So that was the end of my crazy trip through China on that summer trip. Got to knock out 3 essays, exploring 7+ different cities, lots of eventful things, lots of rain, but definitely an unforgettable and unregrettable experience. If you ever have the opportunity to go to China or explore China, don't be afraid of having things go wrong, or where a situation seems like it's not working out well. In the end, just be flexible and have fun with it. I recommend, from what I did, like going backpacking through China, you know, doing a more local way of it, or exploring it less of the, oh, let me do a tour group, or let me stay at the fancy hotels. It's a lot more engaging and a lot more memorable experience when you're really in the city, exploring the culture, going to local restaurants. Don't just go to the most famous restaurant in every place. Go to the local places, have fun, and you'll have a wonderful time there. So that's the end of this series. I will see you next time for a new video. I have not decided what to do next, so if you have any recommendations for what you want to see, maybe a different travel experience, you're welcome to comment it down below. A few places I've traveled to. I've been to Taiwan, South Korea, South Africa, Finland. I've been to more of China. I don't know if I said Japan, America, Canada, Argentina. So plenty of places. If you guys have any interest, you're welcome to comment and recommend it down below. Or if you want to hear a completely different topic, you can do that as well. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this. Good for me. I finally did it for uploading these videos. And I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. So I will see you guys in the next one, and have a wonderful, awesome day. Bye-bye.